Welcome to the fight game with Icewater and Puma, and I'm gonna let you start it off. You want to talk about last week's fights, Lomachenko?
Yeah. Vasily Lomachenko faced off against Jermaine Ortiz. Uh, pretty Ortiz is a pretty good guy. He was undefeated before. Ortiz is the guy that upset Jamel Herring, right? Jamel Herring, and he thought he'd get another fight, another big surprise and move up. But Lomachenko has been off what 10 months. Seemed a little rusty. Ortiz started out fast, came out, seemed like he might have won the first couple rounds, and then Lomachenko started picking up, and he's been a slow starter from time to time.
Right.
But then finally he was able to get past Ortiz. It seems as if Ortiz later in the fight started to get winded.
Mm-hmm.
So of course it made it easier for Lomachenko to win, to come on strong and win the fight. He won by unanimous decision, but he didn't look that impressive. And people's like, is he? You got to realize he's 34 years old. But they're already talking about the possibilities of what may be next for him.
Yeah, I kind of looked at this as kind of like a fight for Lomachenko to kind of test the waters, get back in the groove of things. I didn't expect him to be particularly sharp in this particular fight, but to get his feet wet again and to get prepared for bigger fights coming down the road, which I know you probably have some news of people who want to fight him or people he wants to fight, things of that sort. I want to talk a little bit about, and this is probably the last time I'm going to talk about this, is the Paul Silva fight. I did see highlights of the fight. I did not watch the fight because I do not want to entertain this. This is really not fighting to me. It's more entertainment. I kind of look at Jake Paul and the Paul brothers as the next Vince McMahon for the WWE. I can see them getting older and then kind of keeping this going to keep money in the bank. You saw the purse. I don't think this is the final purse, but Paul got 1.5 million out of this venture, and Silva didn't even crack the $1 million mark. He gets half a million for the effort. 47 years old, he's out there, and based on what people are saying and based on what you saw, a 47-year-old fighting a young man like that did really well. But the decision goes to Jake Paul. Your thoughts about this, man?
Yeah, I told you a long time ago, Puma, that this has always been entertainment to me. I've always seen Jake Paul and his group as entertainment. When Floyd Mayweather was part of the theatrics and told you, I'm not boxing anymore, I'm just an entertainer now,
Right.
that let me know everything I needed to hear. Showtime has jumped on and backing this. I think they're doing it because of the factor that there are a lot of people that are watching. So therefore, they try to see what it would do. Not sure about the numbers, but it is what it is. If you understand it for what it is, you want to buy into it, have at it. But I really don't, you know, I really don't see that for anything as far as being a true boxing, being a true about in boxing. But he did fight a Hall of Famer from UFC. I will say one thing as I make this last point. It might be drama up, bringing up the drama, and they're trying to create drama around it. He did mention one name, and that Nate Diaz. I know this. Nate Diaz is a fighter. And if he's going to want to, he's going to move forward with against to face Nate Diaz. In order for Nate Diaz, and I hope he does not take a dive, but if he does, it's going to take a lot more than $500,000.
Yeah.
Because Nate Diaz likes to throw his hands, and I would love to see that fight or that exhibition between these two gentlemen.
Because he's calling out Canelo, he's calling out uh, Connor, he's calling out everybody. And I don't think these fights are sanctioned by the boxing bodies, right? So they can pretty much do what they want, and it's for entertainment purposes. So if it's not sanctioned, and if they're not fighting real fighters that are really have expertise in boxing, I think this guy is, he has a hustle. He's working his hustle. I can't knock the hustle. He's making a lot of money doing it, but I just don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to kind of report it anymore. I don't want to kind of give any kind of more attention than it needs. I want to dedicate this show to just boxing and UFC and things, real sanctioned stuff instead of the WWF kind of stuff that we've been seeing with this group.
Yeah, it's like I said, to me, it's straight entertainment. And he has the right to do that because he's been very successful. He's a hell of a promoter and marketer. But I see it as in its own little area with something totally different. And when you say boxing, I hear it. I'm like, nah, man, he's not ready to fight anybody of substance. So therefore, it's like you said, it's kind of like wrestling or wrestling that he has a little fairy tale. People buy into it and they pay for it. Who am I to knock a man's hustle? I just don't respect it as true boxing.
Right. And so I'm going to leave it right there. Any thoughts with upcoming news or future bouts that are coming up? I know the Baval fight is coming up with Sanchez.
Yeah, that should be a good fight. Because we want to see Bivol. We saw him with Canelo, and I want to see him move forward. If he does win this fight, then Bivol moves on to bigger and better things, which probably is going to mean that he will probably rematch with Canelo at some time, maybe in the spring. We'll see what happens there. But Canelo definitely wants to reclaim his throne, if you will, by coming back on this fight and winning that fight if he can win a rematch with Bivol. But hold on to your seats. We got some very interesting stuff coming up for you guys real quick. Try to do this as fast as we can. A lot of stuff going on. First of all, we're going to start off with this Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford negotiation type situation. So we know that Terrence Crawford is fighting in December, and he's already signed on that for that. But ironic thing here too, where Terrence Crawford's come out talking about how negotiations went between he and Errol Spence team, Errol Spence Jr.'s team about the possible fight. What we're finding out now is you've got a lot of people from Bob Arum to used to be with Top, who was with Top Rank, a lot of people coming out talking about this. But what we're finding out now is that Bob Arum has dropped some serious nuggets. He said that Terrence Crawford was saying that he signed everything, he's ready to fight. But Bob Arum said one of the things that why he doesn't think the Crawford-Spence fight took place is because when you have a big fight like this, a fighter needs to have a guaranteer, somebody that's going to guarantee your side of the money to put the money up for you. Of course, PBC with Al Heyman, they would do that for Spence. But simply put, Terrence Crawford does not have a promoter now. Now that he's no longer with Top Rank. Somebody has to put that money up because Terrence Crawford's not going to put that money up for himself because you have to be able to guarantee the money to put everything in place for it to move forward just in case things happen. There has to be money sitting at the table. Right. And he does not have a promoter. But the one thing that Bob Arum said is if he had still been with Top Rank, not saying he should have been, then they would have put the money up and it could have moved forward, but he didn't do that. So it's kind of ironic to see that happening where you're starting to see the interworkings of business taking over and you're starting to see a little, inexperience, if you will, on Terrence Crawford's team part to get things done. Take nothing away from his talent, take nothing away from who he is as a top-notch fighter, but it doesn't seem like his team really understands how to play the game with business. And Al Heyman is big time. But very quickly on this same matter, it appears as if Terrence Crawford mentioned that there was a hedge fund company that came to him and mentioned that they would guarantee $25 million a piece for himself and also for Errol Spence Jr.
Wow.
So apparently Terrence Crawford moved forward and talks to Al Heyman with PBC to say, hey, I think we can make this fight. I know you represent Errol Spence. Let's go. Let's do this happen. Let's make this happen. So $25 million a piece guaranteed. And Heyman says, hey, that's not how we do business. It's a lot of other stuff involved that you don't know, you're not familiar with. So apparently not receiving the answer that he wanted, apparently Crawford goes directly to Errol Spence and says, hey, I get 25 million, you get 25 million. Nobody watches pay-per-view anyway. Everybody has fire sticks. So they're stealing stuff anyway. So what doesn't matter about pay-per-view? Nobody's watching pay-per-view anyway.
Right.
But what Spence told him is, I'm with Al, man. Whatever Al says goes. But what you don't realize is when they give you the money up front, usually the company that promotes it is going to take everything else on the back end.
Right.
So when you have a fight of this magnitude, believe you me, that Al Heyman is going to have all of the pay-per-views set up. He's going to have the promotion. He's going to have all of these sponsors come in because they want to have a piece of it. There's going to be so much money. There's probably going to be maybe close to hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So $25 million up front it just shows you, unfortunately, some of the inexperience that Terrence Crawford has that you wouldn't sell for that 25 when you possibly could make 100, 125, depending on what's going on. But that's the whole package. And that just shows you not having a promoter, which is causing him to kind of just say, hey, I'm in this game, I'm ready to do it, but he doesn't understand. He's clearly showing right now, I think, unfortunately, that he doesn't understand how this works. And he's costing himself a lot of money, even though he wants to fight.
Yeah, and time is ticking because he's like 34 or something like that. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty sad. And it's just a lot of stuff going on that I think that his team is showing the inexperience that it has. So, I don't know. It's sad to me that this is being brought out like this when if he had a boxing promoter, he probably could make a lot more money. I hope he gets with somebody that can help him in this situation so he can fight the big fights. But other than that, under that was a lot. But we have a lot of things that are a lot of possibilities. The WBC has come out and supposedly on November 8th, depending on when you're watching this, at their convention, they plan to sanction a heavyweight eliminator between Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz Jr. The winner, of course, would be the right to face Tyson Fury. But this is what we talked about before. This would be a heavyweight eliminator between two of the best in the business at heavyweight, between Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz Jr. Should be good there. Also, it appears now that the terms have been agreed to apparently between Tank Davis, 27-0, to fight at a catch weight at 136 in January versus Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is 23-0. And these are two undefeated fighters that have been going back and forth with one another. Apparently, they want to get it on. They're going to try to make that happen in January. And just before we talked about Errol Spence Jr., Errol Spence Jr. apparently is in negotiation to fight Keith Thurman on December 17th. An announcement is supposed to be made soon. I guess Keith Thurman has been trying to get after Errol Spence for a long time. Errol Spence does not want to sit idle. And I think he really believes he can show the elder statesman Keith Thurman what time it is. So to him, I think he might be seeing this as a tune-up. Other people might see it differently. But they're supposed to be announcing something, and they may schedule this fight for December 17th, which is right around the corner.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting too. But let's see what else. Also, too, there's last but not least, Teofimo Lopez is agreed to go to England to challenge the 140-pound champion Josh Taylor next year if they both win their upcoming fights. So we have a lot on the table, a lot of stuff that's going on there. Like I said, you just think about it, there's a lot going on. Terrence Crawford is fighting in December as well. So all of these potential fights, some major fights. Ladies and gentlemen, this is boxing. These are the fights. They're unfortunately not talking about Fantasy Island and stuff that might be boxing. These are some upcoming bouts that they all go through that people are looking forward to. So it should be interesting nonetheless. So should be a good thing. I think a lot of people are going to be excited about what's going on.
Here's a question I want to ask you, and I only have one question in this episode. It seems like the boxing organizations, it seems like the fighters are kind of trying to get these fights together. And it used to be where the WBC, WBA, all these organizations would kind of make fights mandatory that you had to fight certain fighters in order to keep your belt, things of that sort. I know that still goes on, but do you see it kind of backing up from that, and fighters are kind of negotiating and trying to push these fights rather than the organizations or the belts that they represent, those organizations kind of pushing them to fight these fights?
Well, I think it depends on the organization, and I think that certain people are covered because they like to protect them. That's why they started the lineal champions.
Right.
You kind of guys. I mean, lineal. What the hell is that? I mean, back in the day, it was like you're the champion. You have your suitors and guys that are following in suit to face you. You know, as far as the number one contender or what have you. But they're making stuff up. It seems like. But I think a lot of fighters are saying, to your point, a lot of fighters said, I want to fight this guy. And I think it comes down to the promoters. Say what you want to, if you don't love or don't like Al Heyman or not, but Al Heyman is making sure that Errol Spence Jr. is getting the fights that he needs. And he wants to make sure that he takes care of his guys. Other people that have top-notch fighters are doing the same thing. When you saw Fury and Wilder, one of the things Bob Arum mentioned is the fact that they're on two sides of the aisle, right, with PBC and then Top Rank. But something of that magnitude, the real boxing promoters and the management are like, let's get this done. And fighters can make it plain that that's who they want. I think that's the case right now. We're seeing with Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. They want to fight. When Floyd Mayweather, even though it was later than people wanted it to be, when he wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao, the two sides was going back and forth, kept talking about it. Finally, they met in private, at a private meeting. He says, when Mayweather told him, we can make this amount of money, I'll give you this, let's fight. And before you know it, they made the agreement, shook hands, went back to their teams, told their teams what they want to do. That's how you have leverage. That's who you understand who you are and that you are the talent. If you really want to fight somebody, put it together. That's why I think soon you're going to see probably the next fight for Devin Haney is going to be with Lomachenko.
Yeah.
Lomachenko's 34 years old. The time is now. Devin Haney wants to stay hot. So if he was able to take this top-notch challenge on and keep moving forward, by that time, who knows what's going to happen with the Tank Davises of the world. Also, Shakur Stevenson is moving up to 135. So there might be some other opportunities there. Ryan Garcia is at 136, that catch weight. So much talent at that level that's moving up that Devin Haney is going to have some very exciting fights coming up and also some big paydays. So a lot of stuff is going around, and I think a lot of fighters are just kind of tired of waiting. They want to step up. They know the money's there. You got guys, like I said, Teofimo Lopez that thinks he's one of the best guys still out there.
Right.
They're ready to fight. A lot of money to be made. It's got to make sure that you step up and not wait too long to have these fights. And I think 2023 is going to be a huge year for a lot of fights that we've been waiting on for a long time.
All right. He's Icewater. I'm Puma. It's a fight game. Man, I'm sitting here thinking about this, and I know I joked about it before, but this Jake Paul shit is getting out of control, man. It's like he talking about 6-0. He want to fight all these guys, man. I'm like, dude, you can't, And it's like I don't want to give it any attention. I'm not gonna put no more pictures up on it because I'm like, damn, Silva, did you need the money, and why couldn't you all work something out in the UFC to work and all that stuff? Because he hadn't fought in a while, so he gets like I think 500,000, before taxes. Jake Paul's getting 1.5 million. He's just hustling, man. He's just hustling the public, and it's more like if this is how I felt. It felt like the way I felt when you find out wrestling is fake.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I don't want nothing to do with it no more. It's a joke. I'm not going to take it seriously. I'm not going to watch it. I ain't watching it every week. I know these guys are actors. And it confirmed me when I was in college, in my sophomore year, when I used to work at a Gold's Gym, and some of the wrestlers used to come there. And they were nothing like you saw them on TV. You can go up and talk to them. They're regular people. And so you realize that it's a big act. And he's like, I don't want to be a part of this no more. I don't want to be fooled like that no more. And God forbid if that happens in the NFL and the NBA if this stuff comes out and this stuff, like, man, your whole life, you wasted all this time watching this shit and they've been taking you for a ride.
Come on, man. Come on back in. It's okay.
Yeah, bruh, I'm thinking this whole shit is the Matrix.
Oh, man, what are you
Why is
talking
it the
about?
Matrix, man? What is time, man? All we got is memories. What the fuck is time, man?
Oh, man, dude, you going deep tonight on my ass.
We in
Look,
the
look.
Matrix, bro.
Oh my God, man. You can't let these motherfuckers like that shut you down. I told you from the beginning, if you stuck with the plan, like I told you, we'd be okay. I told you from the start before you got caught up. What did I tell you? I said it's not boxing. Didn't I tell you that?
Yeah, you told me that,
Day
but
one. Day one. That's why I don't take none of it seriously. I see it the same way it was before. It is not boxing. So now everybody will get all Showtime putting it on TV, so everybody will get all feeling some
yeah,
kind of way.
I was actually shocked that it was on Showtime. I'm like, how low can you go, Showtime? I knew I made the right decision and canceling my prescription to Showtime 2 years ago because they were showing the same movies, old dead movies, and boxing. I'm like, oh no, I'm actually shocked. I wouldn't be surprised if HBO get on this and come back. I wouldn't be surprised, man, because I don't know how it did on pay-per-view. I don't know. I don't care. But I didn't want to, I went to the party, but I'm like, should I come back and watch? I'm like, nah, I'm not wasting my time doing that. I'm staying here and had a great time with some good folks. But I'm like, man, I don't want to watch the WWE and this man. This guy, he's like the new Vince McMahon, man.